Better late than never, I suppose, because it looks like the DC universe, I guess, ended. Hey, what's up, you guys? It's me, DCEU. Back again with another video. Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. Yes, the DC universe has been in a bit of a strut lately, and this is their send-off, the final chapter, and I guess you could say it went out with a bang, but you're going to find out in a couple of minutes anyway, so let's get this going. Jason Momoa returns as Aquaman. Arthur Curry as Black Manta sets out to get his revenge on Atlantis. Not only that, but also getting a magical trident from the Lost Kingdom. And that's all the synopsis I can give you right now, because I gotta say this, for the DC universe, as much as it was a bit divisive amongst critics and fans and critics, I gotta say, I'm surprised to this day how Aquaman, the first one, was the only DC movie to actually make over $1 billion, which I gotta say, even for DC, I'm surprised that that's the character that made $1 billion out of everybody, not even Batman vs. Superman. But with this movie, I gotta say, what happened? Because I feel like in the strut of, I guess I could say a year ago, when they announced this whole DCEU was going to end at some point, that when James Gunn made his announcement, everything was restructured, rescheduled, and had to change because Shazam originally intended to fight against Black Adam. That didn't happen. The Flash was going to adapt Flashpoint and at least bring Michael Keaton to the new DCU as our new Batman. That didn't happen. Blue Beetle stand out on its own and actually had the movie it intended to be. So that turned out actually good. With this movie, I gotta say, there's like 2 movies I'm not seeing in this, because this movie was originally around 3-ish hours long compared to the first one, but it feels like this was a cut down version of the movie we were originally going to get, because there's a lot of plot holes in this movie. There's a little things that you don't even know happened in between movies. Even though there's a lot of scenes in this movie that are flashbacks to the first movie, and it's sad when you gotta show flashbacks to the first movie, showing how good and polished the CGI and everything looked compared to what's going on now, because some scenes look good, but there are moments where you could notice the CGI that is not exactly as clear as the first one, and that some of it doesn't look real, some of it doesn't look enhanced. Even the underwater sequences, that their hair isn't like flowing as much as it should be, that it's like their hair is just moving in signs. I don't even know what to say about that. Even the enemies in this movie, because I don't even know if there's actual villains besides Black Manta, because there's not a literal threat like Black Manta is the villain, but he's not the thing that's actually keeping them actually involved in the story. Because the only good thing I can actually say about this is actually the brother relationship between Arthur Curry and Ocean Master. Because in the first movie, it was more of a Thor and Loki dynamic, where one of them was the good guy, the other was willing to be king, and both of them are set out to be enemies. But in this movie, I gotta say that Ocean Master was actually a good character, and also a funny way of experiencing the surface world, because you haven't seen anybody besides Mara show up on the surface and everybody else in their water suits, but Orm, being unknown about the human world, doesn't see everything as it is, which has a bit of comedy into it, but some of it works, some of it doesn't. But I gotta say, Jason Momoa had the most fun of this movie, and I gotta say, if this is his send-off, I gotta say, at least he did what he did, and I can appreciate the fact that he made Aquaman a household name, because we saw him as the joke in the first movie. Even in Justice League, he was the "my man, yeah" character. But then again, in this movie, he doesn't want to be king. He doesn't even want the responsibility. He just wants to go out and do his thing. But the best part of this movie, without a doubt, was Black Manta. Because the first movie, I gotta say, I wanted Black Manta as the villain, but we got Ocean Master instead. And the few little sequences we had of Black Manta in the first movie, I was like, yo, we were robbed. But then again, I can't wait to see you in the sequel, which he is the villain, but it feels like we're missing a movie showing how we got to this point, because originally in the DCEU, we had a movie called The Trench, but nobody knew what that was until recently when all the plans got canceled. It was revealed that it was going to be an actual solo Black Manta movie, showing his journey, a bit of his revenge, and him actually getting the trident. So I'm like, so we're basically in the midst of a trilogy where we don't even get the backstory to the villain or what he's been going through, and we're just skipping to chapter 3. Like, DCEU, you really didn't think this through? But I gotta say, some of the negatives I can get out of this are the runtime, because there's a lot of cut back sequences. Like a scene ends and you skip moments later into what's going on now. Back when we originally talked about the Lost Kingdom, even the title of this movie, that doesn't even make any sense, because the Lost Kingdom doesn't even get mentioned until around near the third act of this movie. And I have to check my phone on this one, because I have to be like, how long is this movie? And we're about like 30 minutes left of runtime. What? And I'm confused because I was thinking, wait a minute, the Lost Kingdom, did they even establish that in the beginning of this movie? And it's not until now where they mention the trident and where it comes from. But the words the Lost Kingdom don't even get mentioned until the last act of this movie, which I gotta say, there was a lot of jumbling around, and I feel like there's a 2 hour and 40-minute cut or a 3-hour cut of this movie somewhere, but we're in the midst of a dead universe at this point. Everything doesn't matter up until now. Even the last shot of this movie, I feel like it's a bit of a fourth wall break, but I guess I can say that, I don't even know, it smells like reshoot to me, but there's a lot of moments in this movie that are reshots of something. I don't even know if they did it to eliminate all the connections to the DC universe, or at least keep Aquaman as a standalone, even though they show flashbacks from Aquaman and a bit of Justice League. But I gotta say, with this movie, DC, you gotta understand, the way you guys reactionary to every little piece of lore or a little piece of storytelling in your universe, that was the thing killing this universe, because you reacted too early and didn't let the fans settle into what your original plan is, or the fact that you set up a universe with all these heroes establishing movie after movie. Like, I'm going to talk about this in a separate video, but I feel like there's a lot of things we can do with this DC universe now that James Gunn is at the helm. And I gotta say, with Aquaman, it was enjoyable. If you can get through past some of the small talk scenes and at least rush through the action, you'll have a good time with this movie. I enjoyed it for what it was. I'm not saying this is the worst DC movie out of this year. You already know from my top 10 what is the worst DC movie of this year. But I gotta say, if we're gonna go out like this, hopefully we can get some new life in the DCEU. And for Aquaman, I gotta say, if you can check it out if you can. There's nothing playing this weekend from what I'm sure of. And if you want to get some good action before the end of the year, this is it. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. What did you think of this movie? Did you think this killed the DCU? Did you enjoy it? Let me know, because I'm hearing a lot of divisive things about this. But I'm one of the ones who enjoyed it. And I guess I could say, I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.